What the hell am I saving for? Hello, all. I'm in my mid 20s and still living at home with my parents. I have around $70,000 in my savings, but kind of found myself in a what am I saving for moment. $44,000 is for student loans that will be paid off in January. Why I'm living at home, but woohoo, debt free from student loans. I do have an investment account that I feed money into once or twice a month, mainly mutual funds, ETFs, IRA account as well. I guess I'm just asking why am I holding onto this money? I would like to skip an apartment and move right into a house, but is that something worth saving for in my bank account? Should I look into other smaller investments? Should I pay off my car? I'm pretty lost with this, but I am a good saver with money, just need to put more of it to work for me. If anyone has any suggestions, tips, stories, etc., please share. Quite overwhelming and is leaving me confused. So, this is an interesting situation because, look, personal finance is always personal. So, you got to really, this is probably like a really good advice for anyone who ends up listening to this. Write down on a piece of paper your financial goals for the next 5 to 10 years. Like, where do you want to be 5 to 10 years from now financially, right? Specifically, right? Now, for this individual, they basically kind of already answered their question in a sense, right? Where they would like to skip an apartment and move right into a house, meaning they want to buy a house, right? Now, if you're going to plan on buying a house in a short amount of time, then yeah, putting it into your bank account would probably be the best idea. That being said, why does this person have $70,000 in their savings but still have $44,000 in student loans that they still not paid off? Now, I could basically assume that's because in January, that's when you're basically forced to actually resume your payments for your student loans. And if that's the reason, there's literally no reason to wait until then to pay off their student loans. So if you're in this situation where you have the money to literally clear off your student loans right now, go do it. Pay off your student loans. Now, that being said, this person obviously has a loan on their car as well. Now, I don't know what their car loan amount is. I'm going to assume that it's probably less than their student loans, right? I'm going to like take just like a wild guess and probably see that in total, their total debt is probably about the amount of money that they have in their savings. And if that's the case, what I would do in that situation would be to 100% be debt free. The reason for that is because once you're debt free, the amount of money that you could funnel into savings, investing, a down payment for a house would be amazing, right? It'd be very, very easy for this individual to save up for pretty much any goal that they have, right? Like, just think about it. Think about if they did not have a car payment or a student loan payment at all for the rest of their life, right? The amount of money that they could funnel into things that interest them, that will make them more money, that will grow their net worth, right? Like, this is what's very important to really understand, right? The reason why you want to be debt free, the reason why you want to pay off your debt is the freedom of different opportunities that it gives you, the freedom of choices. Because when you have so much debt, like this individual has, it limits your options, right? But if you're completely debt free, you could save for a down payment for a house. You could just immediately start, going to an apartment complex and be like, hey, I just want to rent for a few years. I don't really have any interest in, you know, being responsible for house maintenance, right? I don't want to be responsible for like cutting the yard, right? I don't want to be responsible for like fixing the AC. I don't want to be responsible for just basically doing anything in terms of keeping up the house, paying the property taxes, all that kind of stuff, right? Because a lot of people think that like, owning a home is easy. Owning a home is simple. It's not, right? There's always a lot more cost to everything in life that people basically just never account for. So, what this person needs to do, if their goal is to buy a house in a short amount of time, I'm thinking less than 5 years, what they need to do is immediately pay off all of their debt, then save up for a down payment of like 20-25% so that they could avoid the insurance because that's just like an extra cost that is so unnecessary. And they could probably easily do that probably within a year, within 12 months, probably. I don't know their income, but they could probably do that within 12 months, right? Especially if they continue to live with their parents. Well, also, this is another thing. Do you really want to live with your parents years down the line? Some people might. It could be a cultural thing. Again, personal finance is personal, but it's very important to create a strong financial foundation that gives you more freedom, more opportunities to you, right? That's the biggest thing that we push is for people to get out of debt because it gives them more freedom, right? Freedom above all else. And that's why you need to get out of debt, which, by the way, if you want to learn how to get out of debt, go to 40inbox.com. But either way, this person is not necessarily doing anything wrong. They just need to pay off their debt. But feel free to give your thoughts as to what this individual would be doing. If you're in a similar situation, feel free to put down your situation or submit your own personal finance question or story at 40inbox.com because there's like a contact us option as well where you can just submit like your own personal finance story. Now the thing is, based off what they say, nothing's really overwhelming in this situation, right? When you really think about it, they actually have a very simple goal of just simply wanting to own their own house, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because they just, want to avoid the whole like apartment situation and just move right into the house, right? But again, people think that, they gotta make like a return on like investing beforehand, right? They're like, oh, let me do like some like crazy investing strategy for this money until I end up am ready to buy a house so that, I could maybe make some good money while also saving up enough money to buy a house. But here's the thing, if your goal is like a short-term goal of getting into a house, then you shouldn't really be putting your money into investments. You should be putting your money into just a savings account where you have pretty easy access to it. Just basically slap down a massive down payment. Or, depending on the location of where you're actually living, you could actually just buy a house outright after a couple of years of saving, right? But again, that's only after you pay off your debt, right? Get rid of your debt.